All right. Welcome to the second episode of 23 Real. 20 minutes of real talk with real producers in real estate, brought to you by Rick Capretta and hosted by me. Oh, I reversed it. Brought to you by Ohio Real Title and hosted by me, Rick Capretta. Today, I'm joined by Mike Azzam. Mike's been working with Ohio Real Title since we think about 2015, which is a little prior to when I started at Ohio Real Title. But before I go ahead and formally introduce Mike, I wanted to go ahead and tell you a little bit about him. So Mike was named the Ohio Association of Realtors top individual agent in 2019. He has won the RE/MAX Chairman's Award 2017 through 2019. He's won the RE/MAX Titan Award, and he's in the RE/MAX Hall of Fame. He's currently the sales director and co-owner of RE/MAX Haven Property Management, and he's also the team lead of the Azzam Group, which was the recipient of the RE/MAX Diamond Club Award in 2019. Also, he's a member of the Weatherhead 100 fastest growing companies here in Cleveland. He's been a Cleveland Magazine top realtor and a top producer magazine rising star. But more impressively, at least as far as I'm concerned, is Mike is an 8-time Seven Hills Sunday Men's Basketball League champion. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Azzam.
Hey, Rick, thanks. I appreciate it. That is definitely probably the most prestigious award I can possibly receive. Shout out to Seven Hills team.
It's great. It's great. How are you surviving without hoops right now?
Dude, it's tough. We got cut off right when the shutdown happened. Championship game. We had a semifinals game the week before, and then everything just stopped. So we're kind of on pause right now. Didn't think it was going to be as long as this. Yeah.
I don't think anybody did, and I didn't realize you guys were literally in the middle of your playoffs.
Yeah. Drove by a couple of outdoor courts, and the rims are off. So I'm like, well.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Not really sure what to do there.
Yeah, rims are off. Volleyball nets are down. I mean, it's a wild world right now. So, is what it is. Also, Mike and I also have a great affinity for our hometown baseball team, the Tribe. So I wanted to at least see what I can get on Mike's thoughts here about what the Indians were going to look like this year, and if and when Major League Baseball is ever going to resume. What do you think, Mike?
I don't know. They're talking about shortening the season. Doing like a two division basically, and just kind of consolidating the number of games. Right. I don't know. My fear is they they start this up, and then we see a little bit of a another issue again, or a rise in affected cases, and they shut it down again. I don't know. We could see no fans. I think the NBA is going to be a big part of this too, seeing what they do first, because they're the ones that are kind of in the midst of middle of the season.
Right.
What's a shame out of this, Rick, is we're going to lose Lindor. We lost a whole year potentially.
I know.
Lindor. Probably the last year we're going to see him. So
I know they haven't talked about that a whole thing. That stinks.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned the NBA might lead back how the MLB is, but I was kind of thinking that the Seven Hills Sunday morning men's basketball might actually be leading the NBA and the MLB. They might be taking notes from your commissioner. I don't know if that's real or not. Heard that somewhere.
Well, they're worried about parity there, actually. They're actually worried about parity, so there's no rush. They're trying to reconfigure some things, and
good times.
League a bit.
Insane. Well, hopefully things get back to normal, because I'm missing sports bad. This is crazy.
You're telling me. The draft was, I think they said it had the highest reviews ever. I mean, I'm not surprised. I was listening to the radio, and they were talking about NASCAR starting up soon. I never thought I'd be a fan of car going around in a circle as much as I potentially am.
I saw some fake news that was saying that the cars are going to have to stay 6 feet apart from each other. So it might, so there won't be any more rubbing. So that'll be safer for the sport, which I think everyone can appreciate. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll get into some real stuff now. So obviously you've been killing it. You've got a team. I know you guys from the property management side, once that started, that thing really just took off. So why don't you tell us kind of about how you have evolved here in the real estate industry?
So I was working with local property management company, who I'm still with now. David Terbeek, the founder, Remax Haven Property Management. I was in college doing management stuff, leasing. Frankly, the leasing was a huge catalyst. Learned a lot, and then some of the subtle nuances with property management really laid the groundwork. Graduated, got a job at the Cleveland Clinic as a registered nurse, and just wasn't for me. And decided, you know what, I'm going to go into this full time. I'm going to dive right in. The rest is history. Here we are. Big staff and solid team in place, and management company's growing. Yeah, couldn't be happier.
Could you imagine if you're still a registered nurse right now?
Yeah, I don't. I'm going to tell you, I commend every one of them. I mean, this is such a delicate time. I got a couple good buddies that are nurses, and it's some of the risks that they're going through right now. I could only imagine. I mean, it's we joked like there's going to be a draft pretty soon. Anybody that's licensed, they're pulling you in.
Like military draft, yeah.
Yeah. So it's tough. The utmost respect for nurses, healthcare professionals, first responders. But yeah, it was. I think it was a good decision on my part.
Yeah, no, you've been killing it, and I'm sure you would have been good if you stuck in that. And appreciate everything those people are doing right now too, because that is they're putting their lives at risk every day, which they probably really knew that was a possibility, but never really thought about that as a real thing that could really change their life. So, all right. Well, obviously with the property management side, you really learned a lot, and then you started getting into this, but with property management comes a lot of investors. So one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you on the show is I know that you guys do work with a ton of investor clients. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what that's like compared to working with a more traditional transaction?
Yeah, it's a lot more. Let's use the words hectic. Just managing a lot of personalities, a lot of expectations. I think the biggest difficulty, we'll say, is just all the components of every deal. I mean, after after a property closes, we're not done. We specialize in acquisition process and kind of streamlining the process from purchase to management. So there's a lot of moving parts, as opposed to just a traditional, traditional real estate deal with lender and title company, contractors, management, city inspectors, rehabs, leasing. So, it's just making sure all those are kind of coordinating together, working together, and, putting together a good profit, when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Yeah. Also looking at time zones, because you've got investors all over the world.
Rick, that's interesting for sure. I have sales calls at 9 p.m. sometimes because I got a guy across the country. I have sales calls at 7 a.m. because they're just that's their lunch break. Hawaii or Israel or Australia or Japan. It's tough. It's just trying to coordinate that using different platforms. I use WhatsApp more than even my standard text messaging, just because it's easier to communicate back and forth with guys that are overseas.
Right.
So, it's just rolling with the punches, finding the most convenient way to communicate with everybody.
Yeah.
But I think we found a nice niche and, a little bit of a rhythm, trying to make sure we coordinate with them effectively.
Yeah. Have you used much face-to-face, like Zoom, or I know WhatsApp also has face-to-face on that. I know they've got calls. I know they've got text. What other tools have you guys been using, and really, how much face-to-face?
Not a ton. Zoom and WhatsApp mostly, if we're going to do video chats or video calls. A lot of videos as well with, the houses walkthroughs and whatnot. Emails, texting. I guess the biggest difference is you're not meeting a lot of them face-to-face and person to person. The U.S. buyers, the out-of-state investors, will come in periodically. We'll touch base there. And, for the most part, I'd say 60-70% of the clients have never met face-to-face.
Yeah.
So, it's building that rapport without actually seeing them in person.
Right.
Getting them to feel comfortable enough to invest out of state, out of country. So it's, it's a vital part to this is, getting through that communication barrier, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. I kind of feel like we're never going to meet anybody face to face anymore. or maybe Zoom to Zoom, but I don't know if we're going to be anybody face to face anymore. It's getting a little bit crazy. So, all right. So you've seen a lot of different sides of this business. And again, coming from originally being a nurse and schooled as a nurse, what would you say is one of the things that you're most surprised about in this industry, whether it's a positive thing or just a particular challenging thing?
It's managing personalities. Just different guys, different expectations, so many different facets to this. As I mentioned, alluded to earlier, we're, trying to streamline a lot of this stuff and, making sure everybody's accountable for what they're doing and working together and coordinating together, title companies and lenders and contractors and management. So, I think that's probably I wouldn't say surprising, but definitely the most, challenging aspect to it. The team aspect is something I could probably cross over between healthcare and real estate. It was important, we had the doctors doing their rounds and, communicating with them and patients and, putting together plans and educating. So I think there's definitely some correlation and crossover between the two. And I took a lot of that and brought it over to this industry. And I think that's helped us out a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. And having been in a hospital lately for something, that communication is key. And I never really thought of it from looking at it from a hospital side, how that would relate to running a real estate team. But at the end of the day, communication is communication. So
for sure. I'll tell you, the whole virtual showings and virtual selling right now. And, I chatted with a few other realtors and they're having some difficulty with it. It's par for the course for us right now. I mean, this is what we've been accustomed to with the clientele that we have and, a lot of the out of state and out of country buyers. So for us, it really hasn't affected us much, really hasn't changed our approach much. We're doing the same things that we've been doing, making sure that we're being transparent, transparent with them, transparent with our team. And, again, we haven't really missed a beat.
Yeah, I was going to say you guys could probably teach some of the more traditional realtors a little something about it because, like you said, you have been doing it for so long and you've had contractors involved with so many different situations that as you guys are doing a walkthrough, you could probably recognize a situation that's going to need a contractor and they're a phone call away, where a lot of times I know some of my clients, via Facebook or groups are asking, hey, do you know somebody who does drywall? Do you know somebody who does concrete? You guys probably have a pretty long list of all those people already.
Yeah, it's taken a few years to kind of put that together and fine tune it a bit. It's the little black book, I like to say. Numbers that's never going to leave here, but it's
right. Of course,
these are guys that we've built relationships with, and it's nice to have those resources in place. The beauty of it is we're utilizing the resources and benefiting our clients, from short term and long term aspect. So as much as we can do in terms of services and assistance and, offering as much help as we can, that's only going to help us grow.
I agree.
And I think it's something for all realtors to understand and, put together and put to use. Look, it's really no difference. I mean, you have a realtor, we have stagers, you have home inspectors and, title companies, we just expanded it and, incorporated a few more resources at our disposal. That's the only difference, I think, between, us and our industry.
Yeah. And finding good contractors is always difficult. And the fact that we had a good economy made it even more difficult, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's working with the contractor and understanding expectations. And, look, some of these guys are, maybe off more than they can chew, but, it's putting them in a good spot. That's the best.
Aren't we all doing that?
One of the most, yeah, it's one of the most interesting parts of this is, putting these guys in a good spot, best position to succeed. So
good.
We're trying to do that from, even just aside from our team, our vendors and our outside guys, making sure that, they're ready to grow with us as well. That's what we look at as a partnership.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you guys have been great to work with. And I wanted to go into that. So your team, obviously when this whole property management thing started back, what was it around 9-10 when Dave started this?
Yeah. 2010, I think. Yeah, he's been around a little while. Pioneer, man.
Yeah,
pioneered
so
pioneered this industry.
he really grew that property management side, and I've been to the Christmas party, so I see all the vendors you guys have made relationships with, and that's always a good time. But talk about your own team now on the transactional side. How have you grown? Because I imagine it was probably just you with some help from Dave and some of the support with Haven. And tell me how it's developed into now your team, how many admins you have, how many buyers agents you have, or however you utilize your agents.
So, it hit a point, Rick, where, we kind of plateaued in terms of growth. I plateaued in terms of growth a few years ago. I knew I needed help. Mm-hmm. We needed some support. We needed a team in place, to help us to that next level. So I think, with the help of Dave and Kristen Cahill as well, and, mm-hmm. A few other staff members, we've added some pieces. We've shuffled around. We've moved some staff from the management to the sales, that we felt like it was a good opportunity and good chance for them to grow as well. Mm-hmm. So we have a team of 4 agents now. We're adding 2 more in the next 60 to 90 days.
Maybe I'll meet them on a Zoom call.
Definitely. Yeah. We'll add you in our next Zoom call.
There you go. Yeah. I want to be in one.
2 admin. We got a marketing coordinator, some field techs, so it's been nice controlled growth. Something I learned from Dave years ago. I was like a bull in the China shop, man. When I started with him, just want to put my head down and go. And it was like
I remember some of our earlier conversations. Things have been much better now that there's a team in place helping with the day-to-day, because you are a workaholic, man. You get it done and you're working so many deals. It's impossible to keep it all straight. And then one thing goes wrong and it blows up everything. So you've done a really good job. I could, from dealing with me and our company personally, you've come miles, man. So you've done great. So congratulations to you and your team. You guys are really killing it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, they've done a great job. Erica, Shelby, Liz, Jamie, Wayne, Gwen, some of our agents. It's a collaborative effort. I'm very proud of all the work that they've done. It's a lot of growth from a personal and professional standpoint.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So happy to see you getting there. So we'll get kind of the last question here. And I wanted to ask you, what's one kind of parting thought that you want to leave with the listeners after our conversation here?
It's look, every day work as if it's going to be your last day. I know it sounds cliche, but do not take it for granted. We can see just in the last couple of months, what's happened. There was a week or two of very dead period, basically, and you start to recollect and reflect and, start to hopefully try to improve on what you're doing every day. After that small period of time, and we got right back into the groove, right back in the thick of things and hit the ground running. We want to make sure that we're always in a position that we're growing, regardless of what's going on in the outside world. We want to improve. So, take every opportunity and maximize it, from a professional standpoint, personal standpoint. Then also the last thing is, really build relationships. And I think that's the number one thing I'm proud of is just the team that we have in place. A lot of these guys have been here for years, and, it's all relationships and growth and growing together. So as long as you're working with guys that have the same vision, the same goals, it's going to be a recipe for success for everybody.
That's awesome. Well, good, Mike. Thank you so much for joining the second episode. I think it's been great. And if you're looking to find Mike on social media, looks like there might be a couple different places you could find him. It looks like you can find him on his group page, the Mike Azzam group, or you can find his individual page. He's also, you can find Mike on Instagram. You can find Mike on Twitter. That's not up there if you're a Twitter person, or you can find him at AzzamClevelandRealty.com. So Mike, again, thank you very much, and much continued success.
Rick, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. Everybody take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.